Like our fan page on Facebook. Search Extreme 103 Radio HD. Extreme 103.
Radio and the internet.
XR103.com.
Stay tuned because coming up next is Marketing Secrets Revealed, making you our next millionaire, right here on the 7-Figure Year Marketing Show with Derek Jones.
You are listening to Extreme 103 HD. XR103.com. A Deep End Media station.
Hello, this is Derek Jones, and welcome to our show, 7-Figure Year Marketing, where we're ready to make you our next millionaire. I want to thank each and every one of you for tuning in, giving us your time, 7-Figure Squad. You know you're in the house. Glad to have you. All my new folks who are ready to listen and get some strategies and skills on growing that business. Thanks for being here. And we have a very special guest in the house today. I'd like to welcome her, Miss Karen Johnson. We're in a couple of circles with each other now.
We are.
that I've learned, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, so we're just gonna get right into things here. Karen,
sure.
Thank you. Welcome to the show.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you have KJ Strategy Design Studio.
Yes.
KJ Strategy Design Studio. Now that sounds pretty powerful.
I hope so.
And so tell us about that. And KJ Strategy Design Studio.
Sure. Yeah. So KJ Strategy Design Studio really is a strategy consultancy. So basically what we do is we partner with small business owners as well as entrepreneurs to help bring their vision to life.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically what happens is that this is what I found, is that a lot of times new entrepreneurs and small business owners, I usually call them my squiggly lines. Like if you take this personality test, the squiggly lines, nothing bad about that, right? They're visionaries. And so usually what happens is they come up with just tons of ideas, right? So they have this idea, in the middle of that idea, they come up with another idea, and they come up with another idea.
Sure.
And because they're so excited, they just jump right in, right, trying to get their products and services to market. But what ends up happening is that after they've worked so hard, right, they're moving forward, they actually take a step back and look at their business and say, man, I've been putting in a lot of work, a lot of hours, but I haven't quite got the results that I had envisioned for my business.
Sure.
And a lot of times it's because they have not really sat down and planned out how they're going to get from point A to point B. So what I do is I come in and strip them down. We go through some serious strategy sessions, really just asking a lot of thought-provoking questions to just really help people understand really who they are, right, and what messages that they're really trying to convey, as well as, more importantly, what problem are they trying to solve? So a lot of times they don't really think through that, right? They just get excited about an idea. But at the end of the day, a customer comes to you because they want a problem solved.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true. So why KJ Strategy Design Studio? Why you versus any other option out there? Versus plus, and see, a lot of people don't get this, there's also an option of not doing anything at all.
Oh.
So why you versus someone else, some other group, or not doing anything at all?
Sure. Well, to not do anything at all is to automatically fail. Period. And it happens, right? We see a lot of failure out there, and I'm not saying that you can't learn from those, but you want to make sure, right, that you at least have a path that your failures won't be as high. Right. But why KJ Strategy Design Studio? Why me over any other? And I wouldn't necessarily tell you, like, don't go with nobody else. But I will tell you this. Strategy really is confusing. It's painful. People really are not sure what all needs to be involved. It's boring. And it's time consuming. It really is. You have to put in the work. But what I've done is over my last 20 years of working with small business owners and entrepreneurs is that I've learned, and I dabble a little bit in interior decorating.
Okay.
So basically what I've done is I've
Can
created...
you do some stuff in here? I think they might need a little sprucing up.
little sprucing up. I can do that,
No,
Derek.
I like my set. It's all
You
good.
like your set? Okay. Well, I mean,
Well, but
we
you
can
can
do a little
add-
tweaks.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. Little touch-up paint.
Sure.
So, usually what has happened is that I've come up with an innovative, fun, and engaging way to really help you go through your business strategy. So even though I'm throwing out these thought-provoking questions, the process allows you to be creative and go through that whole critical thinking, right, so that you can really understand the foundation that you're attempting to build your house on. So that's why I would tell you why you would want to choose KJ Strategy over any other company is because I'm fun, I'm energetic, and taking you through such a painful
You're
time.
energetic?
You
I don't
better know
think
it.
so.
Yes, I am.
So you've been doing this for 20 years, you say?
Yes,
What
absolutely.
what made you start, launch, and do this and go into that?
Great question, right? So a couple of reasons, right? So I used to work for a lot of major corporations and, sat in a lot of strategy sessions and just sometimes, right, just would come away and like, oh my goodness, now we have to have another meeting to have another meeting. Like nothing really was ever accomplished. And when I started dabbling myself in entrepreneurship, because I've had a couple of businesses myself, because I used to do event planning, interior decorating. All right, so I used to do those as well. And I said, you know what? Entrepreneurs and small business owners really are struggling, right? They have this fabulous product. They have great ideas, but they just don't know how to bring that to fruition. Right. And so I wanted to be able to help them because that's always been my thing. I've always just been an educator, if you will, on the inside. And I love seeing when the light bulb goes off for people. And so, you hear about this pie. There's so much out there. I always tell my clients this. Because usually one of the first questions I ask you is, right, who is your targeted market?
Sure.
Imagine what the answer is.
Everybody?
Everybody, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
And that's not realistic. That's not realistic.
We talked about that the other day.
We did.
with that
We
meeting.
did. And so, I help them to like, no. Right, let's really pull back and really identify who is it that you really want to help. Because a lot of times we think that we need every customer that's out there. Right, and you don't. I tell people all the time, in your industry, there's several competitors, right? But there's enough pie for everybody.
Sure.
And I think we just get bogged down in that. And we always want to go big first. But I tell you, start small. Get your core intact. Get your internal processes, okay? Then move to the next thing. Because at the end of the day, to grow your business, you have to be scalable. Right? So you can't just have that one product. You do want to adventure off. But let's make sure that the core is solid. So again, what I do is I make it fun, entertaining, exciting, and it's just not a same old boring strategic plan.
So how long are your sessions when you're meeting with a client and you're strategizing? How long
Sure.
are your sessions usually?
Well, initially we'll start out with an hour.
Okay.
Right, so we'll go through that. And so it just really kind of depends on, when I really get deep into your sessions, right? So usually I'll do a pre-work questionnaire. So it's about 10 questions that I will send to you, right? And just have you answer those and send those back. I do an analysis. And then sometimes what I'm needing to do, Derek, is to actually go back and revisit those questions because sometimes maybe you didn't give me the meat of what I was asking on the question. So it's kind of like a follow-up to really understand what your intentions were when you gave me the answers initially, right? So that would be an hour session. From there, then I would give you a recommendation, right? Are you needing to work on your brand strategy? Are you needing to retweak your brand strategy? Are you needing to work on your marketing strategy, right? Are you needing to work? So there's a lot of different components, right, that we can actually look at. So depending upon what the recommendation is. Usually, right, the package that most people go with, right, is your 3-month packet. And in those sessions, right, so I meet with you once every month, but those sessions are 4 hours in length. Because we going through quite a bit of information to really try to get you moving on to the next step.
And when you're working with your clients, at what point do you see that, these strategy sessions are kicking in and they're saying, wow, yeah, I see this is happening, I see this is happening. Is it after the first session, the second session,
Generally, to be honest, it's really the pre-work. I've had customers to say, wow. Because a lot of it is they haven't really thought through what is it that I'm trying to accomplish. A lot of times, right, so Derek, check this out. A lot of people start businesses because they want to make money. And I always tell people that while that is definitely what we want to do, at the end of the day, you really should want to make a difference. Right, make a positive impact on someone else's life, right? Because I told one of my clients the other day, people are coming to you because you have shown yourself to be the expert, and I have a problem, and I need you to help me solve it, right? So when you can really do that and make money,
Sure.
right? That's, like you can go with that every day, right? And you can feel good at night, right? That you're not out trying to swindle somebody, you're not trying to out hustle somebody, right? At the end of the day. So that's the reason why I tell them, you have to really understand the problem that you're solving. So for some of my clients, right, they've been able to light up immediately after a session. And it's simply because I ask the hard questions.
Give me an example of a hard question.
Well, so for example, right, so I have some speakers that are my customers, right? And so because they've heard for so long that really there are no competitors in that industry. So I always have to share with them, yes, you do have competitors in your industry, and you have to understand that, because if you don't think that you have competitors, right, and the way technology is today, you're going to turn around and ain't nobody going to be calling you to go on stage. Nobody's going to be calling you to do a training, right? Nobody's going to be calling you to conduct a seminar. So one of the questions is really asking you, who are your competitors, right? And believe it or not, people they're clueless. They haven't even thought about it, right? Once you identify your competitors, I then will say, all right, so have you listened to their speeches? And I'm like, what? What do you mean?
No.
Yeah, so you need to go, right, listen to their speeches and then compare their speech to your speech. So it's work, if you will, in the research, right? And I always tell my clients, it's not about mimicking or copying competition, but it's about understanding what competition does.
Sure.
Right? And then bring out your uniqueness, your value proposition, right? Because again, what makes you unique? And just like you asked me earlier, right, why would somebody choose KJ Strategy Design over another company that offers strategy?
Exactly.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's those questions, right? Back to the targeted market, we back to everybody. And then I was like, okay, well, tell me, how do they look?
And so with the target market, like how many, again, generally, the demographics, do you go by age? Do you go by gender? Do you go by?
It could be chopped into all of that. It can be chopped into all of that. I had a client, she identified, once we started talking, right, 17 to 55. Okay, well, let's break that down, right? Because a teenager, 17, needs and wants are totally different than someone who's 27, 37,
Sure.
even 47, right? So again, just making sure, and I'm not saying that can't be your targeted market, but what you do have to have is different products to feed those different ages. You know what I'm saying? So, and it's really understanding, is it the African American? Is it the Caucasian, right? It's all of that. Is it men? Is it women? Is it boys? Is it girls, right? So is it infants? Because there's products out there for them as well. And so it's just really understanding that. And I think sometimes we don't want to limit ourselves, right? And I try to help entrepreneurs and small business owners understand that it's not about limiting yourself. It's about starting here, right, and making sure it's solid, and then moving to the next level.
Well, and what a lot of people don't realize, when you're creating marketing messages,
Yes.
right, you're speaking to someone.
Absolutely.
And when someone says, "Oh, this is for me," so like if you hear you know, a personal injury attorneys, have you been in a car accident? Well, if someone's been in a car accident,
Their ears perk up.
right? So yeah, so when you're putting your marketing message out there and you're going after a particular audience, you want that audience to hear you and say, "Raise my hand."
Exactly.
This is for me. So yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, that's really critical for you to understand as a business owner who your targeted market is. And again, from there, right, you can scale the business. So it's just those questions. They're simple questions,
Sure.
but they're questions that I hadn't really thought about, right? Because I had this great product, right? And I'm just going to move forward and another thing, Derek, too, that a lot of entrepreneurs and small business owners fall trapped to is believing or thinking that they need to market in every avenue that exists. Right, so you have inbound marketing, you have outbound marketing, and we think we should just be doing every last one of them.
Right.
And you have to understand, where are your customers?
Where are they?
Right. So if your customers are not on Facebook, why are you doing Facebook Live? Okay.
Exactly.
If your customers don't watch TV, why do you think you need to do a commercial? Right. So you have to really understand, because at the end of the day, think about a major corporation. And a lot of times small business owners and entrepreneurs don't see themselves as, right, the big giants. But I need you to see yourself as the big giant. Right? So what do? They do not put their money into marketing pipes that's not generating leads that leads to closure. Because it's a waste of money. Right? And so that's why when they tell their salespeople, right, ask the client, ask the customer, how did they hear about us? And it's very important to make sure you really tell us how they heard about us. Because if you just make it up, then marketing takes that data, right, do an analysis, and then they just going to put the money where where they saying it's going to work.
Exactly.
And so if you're just making it up, then you're going to end up not having leads. So that's a whole nother segment, right, that we can talk
Yeah,
about.
so we got this big old ball of energy over here.
Oh no, I'm not energetic. No.
Not energetic. But yeah, so we're gonna take a real quick break. Got to pay some bills.
Sure.
We'll be right back. But yeah, you don't want to miss this next segment.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Non-stop music. XR103.com.
Phone's not ringing enough? Appointment book a little empty? Losing customers to your competitors because they charge lower prices? Look, my name is Derek Jones, host of 7-Figure Year Marketing Show and author of the most incredible guide to your 7-figure year. You call right now and all that ends today. I'll get those phones ringing, keep your appointment book full with a wait list, and win your customers back from your competitors no matter how high your rates are. Plus, you'll get a 5% off when you mention this show. So go ahead and call us right now at 650-308-9980. Once more, 650-308-9980. That's if you want your appointment book full and you want those doors swinging. Once more, 650-308-9980. Call right now before your competitors do. 650-308-9980. I'm Derek Jones with Warner Klein Marketing, and we're ready to get more clients, customers, and patients through your doors today. 650-308-9980.
Want to host your own show?
Oh, yeah.
Call now, 972-765-7834. 972-765-7834.
Moms of America, stand up and stop taking abuse from your kids. I'm Janet Lehman, co-creator of the Total Transformation Program. We created the Total Transformation to help parents with difficult child behavior. Now I'm giving it away free.
Call now for details, 800-349-8441, 800-349-8441, 800-349-8441, 800-349-8441.
Hey, this is Derek with 7-Figure Year Marketing, and I'd like to introduce to you a program, AEYL. That's Alliance for Elite Youth Leadership, led by Mr. Derek Robinson. He's mentoring young people to become even better young people. They offer tutoring in all subjects in school. He has basketball coaching program and a summer youth program helping your youth get jobs for the summer. Please reach out to him if you have young children between the ages of 12 to 18. You can reach them at 214-39.
Extreme 103.
Radio and the internet.
XR103.com.
Welcome back to 7-Figure Year Marketing. I am your host, Derek Jones, and we have a big ball of energy here. Miss KJ Karen Johnson.
Yes.
And she's been, our first part of the segment, she was sharing strategies on strategies.
Yeah.
Strategizing. and what it means to have a strategy when you're first launching and going into your business and being an entrepreneur.
Right.
Very important, because again, we discussed if you're going to take a trip, right, first thing you have to know is your destination.
Absolutely.
So we have to have a destination so we can map out, strategize how to get there.
Right.
Yeah.
And Derek, it's so interesting, right? So a lot of times you know the destination, right? Because that's the vision, right, that the entrepreneur, small business owner have. But the trouble comes in is that they don't know what path to take to get there, right? So the other day I was telling a group, it's really about, right, you being at your home. Let's say you're at home and you're going to work, right? There's probably several different paths, several different roads that will get you from home, right, to your job, right? But there's one path that'll get you there faster than others.
Sure.
Right? And at the end of the day, you only can take one path at a time. So it's really about mapping that out. And unfortunately, and this is unfortunately, people just don't want to do that, right? I just want to go.
Yeah, so why do entrepreneurs fail to put a strategy together?
Well, like I said earlier, one, it's painful simply because it's mind-boggling, because there's so many elements to it, right? And then a lot of times too, Derek, people are not just honest with themselves. So again, when I ask you those hard questions, you may not really ask them questions of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Last week I was introducing, right, I actually introduced two different practices, right, that entrepreneurs and small business owners, right, can just do on their own. And I can definitely take you in deep, but one was doing the SWOT analysis. Okay? SWOT, SWOT. Okay, so the S is for strengths, right? So really identifying what your strengths are. And let me just say, I know we think that we're strong in everything, right? But we're not, because if I ask you, right, 8 times 8, because you said you're good at numbers, we hope that you come up with 64, right? And then the W is weaknesses, right? And that's something that a lot of times we as individuals, we just don't want to identify. That's a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, because you know what? When you get to the O of SWOT, which is opportunities, what you're doing there is that you are identifying what weaknesses needs to move over to strengths, and so your opportunities is going to help you be able to do that. So is that getting a class? Is that taking a class? Is that getting a coach? Is that getting a mentor? Or is it hiring the expert, right, to take care of that for you, right? But you got to be honest with yourself, right, about the weaknesses, right? You probably have seen, we all have seen, right, on American Idol, right, and all of the talent shows and things like that, people think they can sing. Right, and so Simon Cowell has definitely told a young age, then as we get older, right, we're like, Yeah, no, we don't have to like really worry about that, right? So again, your strength, your weaknesses, the opportunities, right? What is it that I can do to really help me move the weakness over to a strength? And I always tell my clients this: not every weakness needs to be moved over to a strength. It's only if you need that strength, right, in order to move your business forward, right? So just be mindful of that as well. And then the T is threats. Right. So what are those things that could prevent you, right, from moving your weakness over to a strength? And I can give you one of the first excuses, right, that I always hear is lack of time. I don't have enough time. Right. But we all have the same amount of time. One of the things that, I try to make it real for all of my clients and right is this, right. And I know this is not right, but I just want to throw it out there, right? Because
Make it right.
Because it's
What's up? What you
right.
got?
Which is this, right? So we say I don't have time. I don't have time, right? So I always tell people, right? I want you to think about this, even though this is wrong, but I want you to think about this. A married man that decides to have an affair, right? Right? You have a wife, you have children, like whatever the case may be, right? But you find time to go see the mistress, to talk to the mistress, like do all of that. So you can't tell me that you don't have time, because this is what I believe. You make time for the things that are important to you. Come on, somebody.
Look out now.
Right?
She might be losing some listeners.
How dare she, right? But I mean, I'm just saying, I just use that as an example. I'm not trying to call nobody out, because
Sure.
if
Right.
that's your secret, hopefully that's still your secret, right? But at the end of the day, whatever it is that you want to do,
Right.
you can find the time to do
Make the
it,
time to
right?
do it,
Because
right.
a lot of us, we watching TV, we want to go to the club on Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. We want to go see every new movie that is released. But as an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, you got to put in the work.
And you mentioned time. You have 24 hours a day in a day. I have to. Bill Gates has 20. So we all have, as you said, the same amount of time.
Right.
How you use it
Exactly.
and best use it for to be productive and be profitable for you
Exactly.
determines your outcome and your growth.
Yes. And I even tell, aspiring entrepreneurs, right? So, oh my goodness, I need to leave corporate America and things like that. Don't leave corporate America until you have everything established, right? Until you're ready to go. So, I know people that are working full-time corporate jobs, and when they get off, they're on their business.
When would you say it's good for to leave the corporate?
Well, you know what? One of the main questions I always ask you, right, is how much money you want to make the first year? Okay? And, of course, right, we always want to throw out six figures, like, real quick, right? And we make $24,000 a year, working in corporate America. But I want
Sure.
to make $100,000, right? And I'm not saying nothing's wrong with that, but we also need to be realistic. So I tell you, because usually most new businesses, right, will fail within the first 5 years. You need to make sure that you have enough finances to take you through 5 years. And it's not just paying your bills, right, your monthly obligations, because in business, you got to put out more than what you're going to be bringing in.
Right.
So it's really and that's a whole nother process of the strategy session, right, that we take you through, is to really help you understand that. So a lot of times, right, we're just adding up our mortgage, we're adding up our car note, we're adding up, those month-to-month things, and we think we take that times 12 and we say that's all we need. Well, you can't do that, right, because when you strike out on your own, okay, or you buying health insurance? Because, see, when you worked for corporate America, that was just a given.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so those things we don't think about. If the children getting ready to go back to school, right, which just happened, back to school supplies, right, getting ready to go to, play football, right, and all of these things, right? So all of those are expenses that have to be taken care of. So, I always tell you, right, don't think that you have to jump ship. Okay, but be working toward it, right? And then when you get there, then take the plunge, right? So I tell people, right, don't make silly decisions, right? Your family's dependent on you, and you are dependent on yourself, right? So you really want to make sure that you have the necessary funds that you need to not only run your household, but to also invest in your business. Because I'm telling you, that first year, just really kind of dependent upon what type of business you're doing, right? What is going to be your marketing strategy? You got to put out some dollars.
And what a lot of people don't realize in business, I mean, I don't know why, but they don't understand that you have to buy customers.
Yes.
You have to buy, and that is the costliest item in business is customer acquisition.
Yes.
And so
it's the highest.
Yeah. And costliest in both ways. Costliest to get them, and then costliest if you don't have them.
Right.
Because you don't have customers, you don't have a business.
Exactly.
So listen to me. You have to buy customers.
Yes.
Get ready to buy customers or stay in corporate.
Yeah. And you're probably wondering, oh my goodness, so what did Derek mean by that? Like, and it's really this, guys. So sometimes, and I don't totally believe in this, but you got to give people more, right? When you talk about value, the customer has to perceive that they're actually getting more, right, than what they're actually paying you.
Right.
Okay. So there are times, right, you have to make sure that that's happening, right, and that's still a cost. Right? Because otherwise you would have been charging for it. Right? And then sometimes you got those free giveaways. Right? Sometimes you got that free ink pen with your business name on it. But it was free to them, but it wasn't free to you.
Exactly.
Right? So all of those marketing promotional items, right, that you go out and buy. And and I always tell business owners and small business owners and entrepreneurs, right, to be mindful of that. Is that really going to buy you what you really want? Right. So at the end of the day, make sure, again, that you're putting the money in, right, those areas that's going to work for you. But yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, you got to do that. You got to buy you some customers.
Yeah, because I mean, I know people that just because, like I said, a pen salesman comes by and they buy a pen or rulers or whatever.
Sure.
It is, is this going to create income and
right.
for you? And
right. Because just because somebody else did it,
right.
doesn't mean that that's your secret sauce. That's what's going to work for you. So it's really just a matter of, again, it's a lot of work up front. I always use the analogy, right, of wanting to lose weight. Well, the 100 pounds is not going to fall off by itself.
Not at all.
Not at all. And it's not going to even fall off as quickly as one would like. Right? So it's going to take work each and every day. I always refer folks, right, to the Olympians, right? They didn't just start 4 years ago.
Sure.
Trying to get in shape and things
they
like
started
that.
At 7 and 8 years
Exactly.
old.
In fact, Simone was interviewed the other day, and she was talking about how, she had to give up prom. She gave up homecoming. She gave up the football games on Friday night. In fact, I even heard, how many days is it in a year? 365 days? She worked 300 days of 65. Yeah, 365.
So what elements are included in a KJ business strategy?
Great question, right? So really, it could just go from a whole bowl of stuff, right? But we'll break it down, right? So when you think about your overall business strategy, your foundation is your brand. Your foundation is your brand. So you have to start there. And one of the ways where I try to help small business owners and entrepreneurs understand that is this. Your brand, so what happens when people recognize your brand, it's a promise that they know they're going to always get based on the brand. Okay? So Volvo, safety. Right? McDonald's, the arches. Right? We know we're going to get them golden fries. Right? So it's that brand. Your logo. Right, because they're totally two different things, right? So your brand, your logo. Then we have to think about competition, right? So who are your competitors? Why do you believe they are your competitors? What is their value proposition? And then what is yours, right? We go into sales, okay? A lot of entrepreneurs, small business owners may not necessarily be great salespeople, but you know what? You got to figure it out. I can help you with that too. Right, but you have to know how to sell. You have to, do your forecasts, 3 years, 5 years out, right? What are you expecting to make, and where are those funds coming from, right? What are the different avenues, right, that, the revenue will be coming from? So you got to do that as well. You got to put your sales process in place. Like, what are you going to say when you walk up to people, right? How are you going to close them? Right? Because the average customer is not going to walk up to you with a blank check and say, here you go, even if they know they need it.
Do you walk them through like the elevator pitch and a 1 minute pitch and a 5 minute?
I do.
You walk them through that?
I do. And you know what, Derek, for me, and that's another, I've been very fortunate, right, that I have taught many sales courses, really for over the last 30 years. And I really help salespeople really understand that it's not about, and even the entrepreneur, right, it's not about you. It is always about the customer. So I always tell them you have to keep the spotlight on them at all times, because people buy from people.
Right.
They buy from people that they trust. Okay. And how do you build trust? Right. So Sales 101 teach you, which, I tell you to kind of push over to the side, right, that the quickest way to build rapport is to identify with something that the customer said. So, for example, the customer may tell you that they're going on a Disney trip. Well, because you've taken your family on a Disney trip, right, you say, we've been on a Disney trip and we did this and we did that, You got to go here and you got to go there. Well, what just happened? The spotlight has shifted from the client to you, and now you're talking about you. And guess what? The client don't care.
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right,
so
right.
you have to remember that it's all about them, right? And keep the focus on them. And so when they feel like, right, you really care about what's going on in their world, that you really care about the problem, the issue, the concern that they brought to you, and that you're going to help them solve that, it's sold every time. And so usually, right, there's two sides to selling. Right? It's the personal side and the business side. And so I tell everyone who comes through my classes, every entrepreneur, every business owner that I talk to, you have to stay on the personal side, because people want to know that you truly do care about them. Now, remember, they came to you because they had a problem, issue, or concern they wanted you to solve. So they know you're the one, right? But it can't be all about the product, right? It has to be about their problem and them.
Sure.
So that's really the key. And a lot of times salespeople miss out on that.
All right. So you just focus. Focus on the customer. Take it off you. Focus on the customer.
Yes.
And you build that rapport.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. We're going to take another commercial break. Going to pay some bills. And we'll be right back with the powerful
You're so
Karen
sweet.
Johnson.
So sweet.
Extreme 103. XR103.com.
When you were a little kid and you thought about what you wanted to be, teaching was at the top of your list. But things changed. And as you got older, teaching didn't seem like the best option anymore. So you're thinking you'll be something else. But what would your 12-year-old self say? Now you want to be a doctor. You don't think teachers save lives? 25 at a time. An actress? Try playing a different role every time the bell rings. How about a scientist? Ever heard of physics? Chemistry? Who do you think teaches that? Teachers today are breaking down obstacles, finding innovative ways to instill old lessons, and taking learning far beyond the four walls of the classroom. It's time to recognize that great things are happening in teaching and put it back on your list. Don't try to convince yourself otherwise. You had it right the first time.
Find out how you can make more at teach.org. Make more. Teach. Brought to you by Teach and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Science Today. And we already have our next caller. Welcome. Who's this?
Hi, I'm Philip.
Hello, Philip. You sound really young.
Not really. I'm 9.
Oh, wow. You're still in elementary school, right?
Does that matter?
Oh, no, not at all. What's your question?
Well, I know the molecular formula for water is H2O. I also know that hydrocarbon is CH3CH2 50CH3. Glucose is C6H12O6. The general formula for an alkene is CnH2n plus 2. But what I can't seem to find is any scientific formula for Bob.
Bob?
My goldfish.
Are you ready for kids who eat healthy? Good nutrition can lead to great things. To find out how a healthy lifestyle can help your child succeed, go to mypyramid.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by the Ad Council and USDA.
Phone's not ringing enough, appointment book a little empty, losing customers to your competitors because they charge lower prices? Look, my name is Derek Jones, host of 7-Figure Year Marketing Show and author of the most incredible guide to your 7-figure year. You call right now and all that ends today. I'll get those phones ringing, keep your appointment book full with a wait list, and win your customers back from your competitors no matter how high your rates are. Plus, you'll get a 5% off when you mention this show. So go ahead and call us right now at 650-308-9980. Once more, 650-308-9980. That's if you want your appointment booked full and you want those doors swinging. Once more, 650-308-9980. Call right now before your competitors do. 650-308-9980. I'm Derek Jones with Warner Klein Marketing, and we're ready to get more clients, customers, and patients through your doors today. 650-308-9980.
You are listening to Extreme 103 HD. XR103.com. A deep end media station.
Hey, welcome back to 7-Figure Year Marketing. I am your host, Derek Jones. Man, explosive show today. Explosive with KJ. KJ. She kindly corrected me. You don't have to call me Karen. KJ. KJ is in the house.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So she was sharing with us some elements that are part of her strategy sessions. I think there were a few more you wanted to go over and talk about.
Absolutely, right. So I think earlier, right, I think we talked about brand, we talked about logo, we talked about competition, we talked through the sales piece just a little bit. But then, of course, right, you got marketing, both inbound and outbound. And I won't go through all of those elements because there are so many avenues, if you will, under both inbound and outbound marketing. But then also two other critical pieces, which would be your long-term goals, right? And usually there are 4 minor umbrellas that is under that, right? So it's your internal process, it is financial, it is your market share, and then employees. Because those 4 main pieces are needed, right, for an organization to move forward, right? So you have to make sure, like, you have that long-term goal set for each of those. Then another...
So when you say long-term goal, you're talking about 3 years out, 5 years out?
5 years out.
5 years out.
5 years out. Right. So it's, for financial, and we're not saying, I want to make, $250,000 in 5 years. Or we're not trying to say, $1 million. That's not what we're talking about, right? We really wanted to understand more about if, it can be that. It can be that, but I really want you to dig deeper than that. And maybe it is $1 million, but then where are you hoping that money come from? What avenues are going to be making up that $1 million? Sometimes it's more about Wall Street, right, and things like that. So I really try to get the entrepreneurs, the business owners, right, to kind of really think more about corporate, wise. And maybe it's to get enough funds not only to expand the business, right, but to get employees so that you can give them salaries, right, and things like that. So there's a lot of different elements that will fall under finance market share, right? So remember initially, right, we started out with the target marketed, right, and maybe it was the 17 to 22-year-olds, right, but then your market share can grow, right, if you expand your niche. Right, so it's more about that. Your internal process, if I said it once, I've said it 100 times, it's that internal process. Everything needs to click, right? So whatever business you're in, if you say that there are 10 steps that would give your customer the end product, you want to make sure that every step is solid. Like you're not missing anything, kind of like a cog, right, going through. You really want to make sure that they're solid. If any of those steps is not clicking, right, then you're not ready to go to market, right? So you want to make sure that that stuff can basically run without you being present, so to speak. All right. And then employees, right? So whether the employee is your solo entrepreneur, right, or whether you have a team, and your team could be someone you've hired, as an expert in this particular area, right, whatever the case may be, because at the end of the day, the team, the employees are the ones who's going to help bring your business vision to fruition. You see what I'm saying? So if they don't fully believe in whatever it is that you're doing, they could sabotage, right?
Sure.
Kind of like in the boat, right, and be sinking the boat, right? Being more on Facebook versus doing one of them steps that you have, right?
So how do you tell them to pick a proper team member who won't do that, who won't waste their time, and who won't come in late, and who won't be on Facebook and texting their whatever significant other? Yeah.
Well, and you know what? It starts with really identifying each role that you believe you need for your organization. No differently than any major corporation would do, right? Doing a job description, right? And then when you come in and you interview people, see, this is a lot of times what happened too with small business owners and entrepreneurs. We want to hire family and friends.
Right.
Okay? And a lot of times they are not your best employee. Now, our family members love us, right? But at the same time, they think they can kind of get away with some stuff. Oh, that's my brother. Oh, that's my sister. Like, she'd be all right. You know what I'm saying? And so
hours are 9 to 5, not 9:17 to 4:30.
Yeah, exactly. And no, you can't slip out early. And then what happens is because that's my relative, right? Then we don't want to call them on the carpet. Right. So, it's really about going through. Derek, in fact, I remember a few years ago, I used to work for a major telephone company. And we had started a new position, and I would end up having about 36 employees reporting to me, okay? And one of my best friends wanted to apply for one of those positions, which would move her from Texas to Washington, D.C. And so I explained to her that if I interview you for this job, right, I'm going to take you through the ringer just like I would take anybody else through the ringer.
Sure.
Right? You need to understand that if I hire you for this position and you're not taking care of business, we're going to have a conversation. And if that means you being written up, then that's what's going to happen, right? Because at the end of the day, my reputation is on the line. Right? And I tell you, we went through the interview process, and people said, like, we didn't know if you was interviewing your best friend or really a stranger. Right? So that's the key. You have to make sure that you're treating everybody the same and really understand from them what is it that they're wanting to get out of this. Right? And a lot of times, right, we want a breathing person. We just take any and everybody, right? So you have to really be careful with that and take people through the interview process, ask those open-ended questions, and really get the answers from them, and then move forward. Right, so you really have to do that around your employees and really making sure that they're all in. Now, granted, at the same time, right, because you are the entrepreneur, you are the small business owner, you want to make sure that you're giving balance as much as you can to your employees, right? Because if they get burnt out, okay, because at the end of the day, this is your dream, not their dream.
Right,
okay,
right.
so they want to go to the movies. They want to go to the club, on Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. And so you have to be mindful of that. I tell people, if you hire teenage children, right, during the fall, that's a busy time for them. If they are cheerleaders and all, you're going to have to expect that that's where they're going to be. So don't schedule them to come in, because you already know 9 times out of 10, I'm calling in sick. Right, so you just have to really do your due diligence there. And again, it's just sometimes we just, that's my baby sister, and you can't do that, not when you're trying to run a business. Yeah.
And what process do you use in helping bring an entrepreneur's vision to life? What is that process?
Well, the process, I call it C to the second power equals V to the second power. Okay. So, and I mentioned a little bit about it earlier, right? But it's your critical and creative thinking. So those are the 2 C's, right? So when you have both of those, it's going to equal your vibrant visual, right? Which is the actual vision that you have for your business. So that's really that whole process and taking you through that whole creative. A lot of times I use a lot of interior design elements, right? So I have you to kind of think about, you're going to remodel your kitchen, right? You're going to, redo your bedroom, right? So I bring in that whole piece to kind of help you go through the sales process or go through the strategy process and putting it all together. So that's the fun part.
So as you say, using the interior design aspect, it helps them visualize, because everybody knows, how to design it, or what it takes to design a house, like to put furniture and you said remodel.
They think they do.
Well, in terms of the language.
Yes.
So the language, they identify with the language of what you're saying to get across.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Okay. So I always try to relate it to that, right? Sometimes you may say, hey, I want to remodel my kitchen. So what do we normally do, right? We go to showroom floors. We get magazines, right? Oh, that's cute. That's cute. That's cute. That's cute. Right, and then you have some people who think, oh, I can do that. I could do that, right? So then, right, so what's happening is they're running out to the store, buying the supplies, right? Then you come back, and it's 50 zillion thousand holes in the kitchen, well, because they really didn't have the expertise to do it. And you'll be surprised. I tell people all the time, customers buy with their eyes, which is why showroom flows are situated the way they are. You'll be surprised. A lot of people don't even know how to put various, tops and bottoms together, and that's why the stores have mannequins that are dressed up for you, so that, because some people are just not able to do that, right? And it's the same thing with interior decorating. It's the same thing with strategy. I know this is my vision, but I just don't know how to get there, right? And so I'm really trying to help you create that roadmap to get there.
Have you ever had a client where they just weren't getting it, and you just like, okay, yeah, we can't do this anymore. You're fired. Have you ever had that situation?
You're so harsh in asking these questions.
You don't have to name.
No, of course I would never name a client. That is so ugly, Derek.
I told you about the ugly lighting. We talked about that.
Exactly. You know what? What I try to do in taking you through the strategy session, right, and asking you those thought-provoking questions, because let me tell you, sometimes those, and it hasn't been many, right, that I've said, you know what, we probably want to maybe think about something else. And usually it's been those individuals who someone else, right, was pushing them that you should do this, and they really never had a passion nor a desire to do it. So in giving your responses to me, that's why I take you through the process, because I really want to hear firsthand, right, what is it that you're going to tell me? Why are you in this game? Why are you doing this? If people say it's all about the money, I walk away, because it can't be all about the money. It can't be about all the money. People need your help, right? And if you have a solution for that, that's what you want. And guess what? The money will follow, right? So I always tell people, if you're money hungry, I'm not the one to help, right? So I have to know And I do know, based on the questions that I asked you, that you have a deep burning desire, right? And you wake up thinking about this all through the day. You're thinking about it in your sleep, right? You live and breathing, right? Drinking, eating, right? Your business, right? Because you really believe in it. And when you really believe in something, people can tell.
Sure.
People can tell. I always tell sales folks, right, a lot of times the reason why a customer will not buy from you is because they know that you don't believe in the product. So when you're hesitating about quoting your prices, so this is the thing, right? So there's one rule that I do tell people that still exists, right, as far as Sales 101, right, is this. When you quote price, you should go totally quiet.
Really?
Absolutely.
So you say the price and then you wait for them to...
Right. And why do I do that? Because previously I did my discovery. I learned everything about what it is that you're looking for. I learned about your problem, right? And then I was able to share some benefits with you, walk you through how this is going to really help you, not only solve the problem, but benefit you, right? And so now I've done all the selling. Now, this is what you pay for it. And I tell people this. When you go into a store, you're buying a suit, you're buying a dress, right? You're trying it on. The salespeople is helping you, right? They bring you different sizes, the whole 9 yards. But when you get to the register to check out, they're not still asking you no questions other than cash, credit card, check, right? There's no reason to continue to sell. Right? And that's what causes people to lose out on sales, because when you quote price, but yet you continue to talk, you're now trying to justify why you quoted what you just quoted. And the customers know that.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
good.
So that's the only reason, because we still trying to sell, right? So
you say $5,000 and then zip it up.
Zip it up. And I tell the salespeople, right, think about this. They need time to think. You really just gave them a lot of information. Right? You probably done give them all kind of brochures, all kind of stuff. Well, they need a minute to process that information. It doesn't mean that they're saying no. It's just they're going to think it through. Right? Because how many times have you bought immediately? Like when you went to go buy a house, went to go buy a car. We didn't tell the salesperson immediately yes. Right? We had to go think about it. I want to sleep on it, right? And things like that. So, I just tell people, right, you have to think through those things, allow the customer, right? And this is another thing. If the customer asks you a question, guess what? That's a good thing. Why? Because they're interested. Ding, 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 ding. Right? So it's just that simple, right? Sometimes as salespeople are like, oh my goodness, don't ask me no questions. I done told you everything. Like, you couldn't possibly have a question. Yeah, I could possibly have a question.
All right, so you got any exciting things coming up, news?
Oh my goodness. Well, I got a couple of events coming up, right? So I'll be speaking at the Black Belt Speakers Conference, which you'll be there with me, right?
Yes.
At the end of October. I actually will be at SpanFest, right out in, and I think we're changing the locations, but next month. So we're looking for authors, speakers, pastors, those, right, who want to get their book out there. So we're going to be doing some things around that. We'll have an all-day workshop. In fact, Dr. Ed Womack will be the guest speaker, and I'll be speaking as well. But yeah, so we have some exciting things coming up. I am planning to roll out my first strategy design board challenge, which will probably be in March. So definitely look for details on that. So we're looking for, people to come out and learn more about their strategy so we can help them.
All right, so you've talk about value. You've given us a lot of value in this past hour, and we thank you. So, how can we get more value? How can someone get in touch with you? KJ Strategy Design Studio.
Yes.
How can we get in touch with you and enroll you?
Okay. Well, a couple of ways, right? So today, my Facebook page, right, which is KJ Strategy Design Studio. You can also email me at Karen@KJSDstudio.com, or you can call me at 469-734-4448. I am currently working
Say
on...
it one more time.
Sure. It's 469... I know it's a lot of fours. 469-734-4448. My website is currently being designed, so we plan to launch it September 1st. So excited about that.
All right.
Yes.
Well, KJ has definitely been in the house. She's left her mark, and she survived the hot seat.
I did. Yay.
I think I survived.
That's funny.
Her. But yeah, so she shared a lot today. Thank you again for joining us.
You're so welcome.
And I know, like I said, we're going to be doing some things together, things coming up, and glad to be in your circle.
Yay, thank you. Likewise.
Yeah. And so thank you again, and yeah, continued success with your strategy sessions.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. So thank you again, audience, for joining us. Always love having your time. I know how valuable it is, but hopefully we gave you enough things to get you going on your 7-figure year. I'm Derek Jones, your host, and we're out of here. Press the hustle.